should be live now, I think.
Maybe. Hello in YouTube land. Can anybody hear and or see us?
Hello. We just lost somebody because they were like, "What?
Oh, we're live. Look at us.
Where is it? Are we live?"
We are indeed.
It is? We're good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to click on it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Hello.
All right.
Okay, here we are. We're live and
back again.
Back again. Happy Tuesday to you from the Minglewood County Preservation Society and Pit Barbecue. Hope you're having a fantastic day out there. I do have the chat thing there. I got to figure out how to do it. There we go. This way. It's like looking in the mirror. The chat thing's right there. So now we don't have to look at the phones or anything like that for the chat. So if you're here, hey, say hello. And we have another fantastic show for you.
And look at this groovy background. Look at all this. We're in a record store, sort of.
I think we got some movies on the back wall there. I don't really see anything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do some train spotting, and we noticed that we were in the S section of the CDs there. So, but Steve, hello. How are you doing today?
Hey, I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good for a Tuesday. I'm having trouble remembering what day of the week it is, but that's okay. So it's all good.
Absolutely.
So what do you got? What do you got lined up for today?
Well, I want to kick things off by telling you a couple of records that I've been listening to this week, and one that completely blew my mind. Okay. So we'll save that one for afterwards. This is a record I think I introduced you to maybe last week. If you want to talk a little bit about it, Easy Action by Alice Cooper.
Oh, okay. I mean, I haven't listened to it too much.
No.
Yeah, I think when you and I we listened to it for a little bit. You told me some choice tracks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I really didn't do my homework and listen to it. So I'll have to report back on that again. But if you want to talk about it, go ahead. I mean,
yeah, just
it to me, it sounded like sort of like, I don't know. I am not the biggest Alice Cooper fan by any means. Of course, I know the hits, right? So I know I'm 18 right. And No More Mr. Nice Guy and stuff like that. But he is one artist that I've really just never kind of sought out or just kind of said like, yeah, I got to listen to this. So enlighten me.
Well, forget everything you know, because this has nothing to do with that stuff. This maybe has a little bit with I'm 18, but this is again, like I said last week about the Rush album I picked. This is much of a bridge album than it is anything else.
Okay.
You still have the psychedelic sprinklings of his first album, but you also get sort of a hint of maybe where he's going to an extent, with what you would get with his third album with Love to Death, which has I'm 18 and Caught in a Dream and some other songs that people probably know if they heard them. But this album is really strange. This is his sophomore release. It has got something for everybody, I think, on it. And this little sticker that somebody put on it. This was a college promo that I got from, good Lord, you cannot see that, but
hold it to your chest. There you go.
See, read right there. Can you read what it says right there? Absolutely not. So I'm just
let us know what it says.
So it says second last non-commercial album, and that's pretty much a good description of it. You've got songs like Shoe Salesman, which I think sounds more like the Beatles than anything he's ever done. And I think this has got a lot of Doors flavoring to it.
Yeah,
Below Your Means. Yeah. Below Your Means kind of has a Light My Fire-ish jam right there in the middle. So I think that's it. It's a good record. It's worth checking out. You still have, the psychedelic freak out stuff like Lay Down and Die Goodbye. So I think it's a solid album. I don't think it's anything life altering or anything, but I think it's a really good album that everybody should hear at least once. And here is the second pick. An album that I don't know how you feel about these guys. If you're going to get one album by them, I would get the live record, which I'm sure you have, but the band is Cheap Trick and the album is In Color.
So again, Cheap Trick is just not a band that that I felt the need to really seek out. So yeah, I do have at Budokan. I
Which
don't.
is the one that you need if you only have one.
Yeah, I don't. It surrenders on that too, right? And of course,
Of course.
I want you to want me. But yeah, Cheap Trick is just not a band that I've really ever kind of, and you and I have talked about this. I know a couple of conversations that we've had recently where we've talked about sort of, you talked about it today where we talked about uh, dumb rock, right? Just whoops, I
Right.
clicked our thing off here. Just um, just music that really doesn't necessarily like you don't have to think about. And like you said, it's rock and roll, but it's just like you just like kind of lowest common denominator thing, and that's okay. Like that's
And there's nothing wrong with
yeah,
it. Like we talked about.
yeah,
Kiss is a prime example. I absolutely love Kiss. They're one of
mm,
my favorite bands, but it's dumb rock.
yeah,
It's not anything that's going to enlighten you. There's a difference between like Love Gun and Highway 61, you know?
right. But I think at the same time you do need music like that just because it's you don't want to take yourself too serious. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I think that's and then it becomes pretentious and it becomes next thing you know you're like I'm creating a rock opera about something that this like the Pete Townsend complex, we'll say, right? Where it was just sort of like the Who became his band after Who's Next, right? Because it was or after
Right.
Tommy, because Tommy was such a great success, so every single thing that I'm going to spew out is going to be this amazing thing, and it led to I'm going to do the Lifehouse thing, and that basically just sort of went nowhere, and they recorded some stuff for it, but it wasn't like whatever, and even Quadrophenia,
I
it's
like Quadrophenia better than Tommy, to be honest. I know
right.
you probably do. Where do you land on that?
I would go with Tommy. Tommy is going to be the
Yeah.
one that I probably listen to that more. I did see Roger Daltrey, and this probably was 2012, maybe. I think I saw them. They did the Quadrophenia tour, and
Yeah.
then they did like and then 5 or 6 greatest hits live, sort of at the end, kind of thing.
It's like in 2012. I came that close to going, but for
Okay,
whatever
I think that
reason
was when that
didn't.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great thing. Their visuals were really good with the show. Um, but Quadrophenia is not necessarily an album that I'm like really attracted to. So
Sir.
yeah, I think maybe it's just like I think of Sting, right? I think of Sting too much. Which reminds me, you want to talk about a little show and tell? I watched Dune
Yeah,
last
the
week.
new one?
The original Dune.
The
We
original.
watched.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and of course Sting is in that. So he
Yeah.
doesn't have any musical numbers, but he's in there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've never really been attracted to Quadrophenia. So,
Wow. Well, that's just to get back on In Color. It's you can't go wrong with the first three Cheap Trick records. I think they're all just about perfect. I like One on One, which is an album they released in the '80s pretty well too. But those first three Cheap Trick records, I think, are pretty essential for me anyway.
okay.
All right, I got one more if I can take. Or I'm
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No. I just wanted to say, hey, anybody watching, welcome. Thanks for tuning in with us. If you want to say hey in the chat, we got the chat live. Maybe we won't get anybody. Maybe that's because I put that up there. We won't get anybody to say anything in the chat today. But if you're watching, say hey. We'd like to hear what you think, and if you want to bring on some conversation, that'd be great. So
Yeah.
thank you for stopping by. But yes, Steve, let's show me
All right.
your third little piece of show and tell.
So this is an album that I saw somebody talk about on TikTok, and it kind of got me intrigued. And I don't remember the user's name on it or whatnot, but he was talking about if you like weird music, which my ears kind of perked up a little bit with that said. He said you could just kind of check out stuff like this. And it's one of the best records that I've heard in a very, very long time. The album is You Think You Really Know Me, and the artist is Gary Wilson.
Okay, yeah. So you wanted to talk about this, yeah?
I did. So, a little bit of background on Gary Wilson. This is his. He's since put out more records, but this came out in '77, and it's all over the place. The best thing I can compare it to is like if Lou Reed fronted the Residents. It's got a lot of stuff like that going on.
Okay.
It's really kind of all over the place. I would say it's Lou. If you like Lou Reed, if you really like the Residents, this is right up your alley. And it's got some hints of like Weather Report in it as well, like kind of like that funk jazz that was popular right around that time with bands like that, and maybe a little John Cage.
So when is this album from? So before we go any further, so when is that one you showed me?
1977 is when it came out.
1977. Okay, so
Yes.
now how long have you had this album? Is this something that you picked up a while ago?
No, it arrived today,
Okay,
but I've been streaming it since I heard about it.
Okay,
and that was like, gosh, I would like 5-6 days,
okay,
less than a week. So I've discovered it since since last time we had a show. But it's a strange album. He's all over the place. This is his one and only album. Now he has since come back, but he put out this record, tried a little bit to do in California. It's completely DIY. He recorded in his parents' basement, went to California, couldn't get a record label, started playing keyboards in a jazz lounge band and working in an adult theater. And that's what he was doing until what's the record label that came? Motel Records actually hired a private investigator to find obscure artists and records and get licensing agreements signed and whatnot for them to put out the records. So he ended up getting found, agreed to let them put it out, and is since kind of doing a little bit of records here and there. I think his last record he did with Stevie Moore, if you're kind of, again, kind of a more eclectic artist as well. But the album, again, it's got elements of the Residents, especially Lou Reed with maybe a sprinkling of Weather Report. It's a great, fun, dark, just out there album, but it's so much fun, and it's just a complete, just mind blowing to me. If you, again, I'll shut up after after this, but if you're a big Residents fan, you know I cannot recommend this album enough.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. So that sounds pretty cool. Well, the cover looks pretty intriguing. So
yeah, it's I'll
hold it to
I'll
the
send
chest.
you a
Hold
link.
it to the chest so we can. There you go. It's called what? You think you really know me? You think you really know me?
You think? Yeah, you got it.
Got it. Okay, cool.
So
and the name of the artist,
check that out. Gary Wilson.
Gary Wilson. Cool.
And it's out of print. So if you like what you hear, if you like what you hear, you can get the vinyl for like $20. I think I paid $15 for the CD. So if you like it, I would get it sooner than later.
Okay.
So
thank you for the recommendation. So,
absolutely.
I see Craig has jumped on. Hey Craig, how are you? Good evening to you.
What's up, guys?
Craig, I hope you. I think I feel like the Dave's Picks, I think this is like the last day if you're going to jump on it if you haven't already. I think you said you did, so make sure you get on that. And we got Not John 9 said, "Hey, I finally caught you guys."
John
live.
T in the house from the great state of New York, the Big Apple, if you will.
Do you know who Not John 9 is? Do you know who that is?
Yeah, that's John, man.
Oh, the John. Okay, all right.
John.
The John. Hey, John.
The Royal John. The Cool John. The Fish John.
The Fish John. Okay. Very nice, John. I was listening to. The little fish last night and put on the headphones.
Oh,
doing that.
What'd you have?
What did I have?
Hoist?
No. I was just listening to. I just have I think I'm just looking at what I was playing. Billy Breeze. I was listening to that. I just had to hear myself a studio version of Prince Caspian.
That's
a great album. And let me look and see what else came up. Undermined. I was listening to that too. So, yeah, very cool. So Craig said I did had it in my head to go on the subscription for a year months ago. Yep. I mean, they always do it sort of right between right around now is when you got to jump on it. So, but yeah, good to see both of you. Yins.
Likewise,
Good to see
you
both
guys
of
are
Yins.
awesome. Uh
I'll
oh,
give you a
oh, there it
Pittsburgh
comes
Yins
out.
there. Good to see Yins.
It's coming out. How y'all doing?
How y'all?
Polar
So
opposites.
polar opposites. Um, so what I was listening to, and I brought this because I wanted to talk about the rock renaissance 4 on Time Life Music. Um, I so half price books a long time ago. This was
Used
$4.
to be awesome.
Used to used to be. It's a shell of what it used to be. But they had a ton of these. Like they had their whole various artists section had there was a ton of these, and these are. I feel like there's maybe like 30 or 40 of these double LPs.
Good
Um,
lord.
but I just wanted to read you some of the tracks on this one because we were talking about like sort of the animals and like I was this was one that I was like, oh man, I gotta listen to that. You got Eric Burden on the back of it there. Um, but just listen to this, right? So we know that this is all like um, so my favorite. I don't know if this is gonna show up or not, but no, it's not. So let me put my hand behind it that way. Okay, we'll figure this out at some point. So the Warner Special products, right? So my favorite, the Warner Electra Atlantic, right? Uh, just listen to the tracks that are on here. So this is we got side one, and it plays so fantastic. The sequencing on this is just amazing. Um, got I'm So Glad by Cream, All Alone Again, or by Love. When I Was
Ooh,
Young by Eric Burden and the Animals, and then Season of the Witch, and then Tuesday Afternoon by Moody Blues. That's side one. Like that's like just like you want to talk about some downer music, right? Like you just totally they start you off at I'm So Glad, and it's just like, you know, right? I mean, it's
by the end,
amazing.
you're alone again.
Yeah, it's amazing sequencing. Side two, Jesus Is Just All Right by the Birds. I think you and I will do a Birds episode. We'll talk about them
Oh, I'm all for that.
at some point. Open My Eyes by the Nas. Are you going to be
Love
there at
that.
the
Love that bass.
Are you going to be there at the Love In by the Chocolate Watch Band? Like that's a deep track, right?
That's going obscure, yeah.
And then we go across the pond and we do Blackberry Way by the Move, which I know is a band that you're
Ooh.
not really too familiar with, right? Right?
Yeah, I know a few of the side of Fire Brigade and all that.
Okay, all right. And then back to San Francisco and we do Flying High with Country Joe and the Fish, which is probably that's like that's like would you say that Not So Sweet Martha Lorraine is better than Flying
Oh
High?
yeah.
Okay, all
Oh
right.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, all
Oh
right.
yeah.
And then Darkness, Darkness by the Youngbloods, which is that's a deep track there. That's like from like 1969. So, and then side three, Shaken Street by the MC5, right? Right?
Best MC, my favorite MC5 song. Well, one of I love that song, man.
Right.
How was that not a hit? How was Shaken Street not a
Exactly.
hit? Well, obviously I know it because of the band's reputation, but seriously, Shaken Street, it's what, 2 minutes and 29 seconds. It's boom, 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 boom. It's tailor made for radio play. How was that not sandwiched in between Sonny and Cher and the Association? I'll never know. Like that is power rock perfection. I
Well,
love
the best
Shaken
part is
Street.
they do put the chart positions on here, and like pretty much every single one is did not chart. Um,
Yeah,
All Alone Again, or
because it's
actually,
good.
yeah, All Alone Again, or was actually that reached number 99, if you can
No
believe that.
kidding.
Yeah. So we got Shaken Street, and then another band I've been listening to quite a bit, Procol Harum, uh, with Whiskey Train, right? That's off of
Well,
their.
they can't all be winners.
That's a great tune, man. That's a great tune. That's a great tune. And then we have Second Generation Woman by Family, which again, that's a deep track. You know what I mean? Like that's something that's not you don't hear all the time. And then we have another band I've been listening to the crap out of. One of my favorite tunes from them, Meet on the Ledge, Fairport Convention. Another track that didn't chart. And then Fresh Air by Quicksilver Messenger Service, which you know that
Wow,
like that's a great tune.
that is.
Side four we have Space Cowboy. So that was That was before
With
the
Steve
Joker.
Miller,
The
yeah.
song
Yeah.
that references that song did not chart. And then we stay in San Francisco with Fever Tree, with San
Ooh.
Francisco Girls, a deep track. Like that's a deep track right there. Um, and then this is sort of my favorite part because this is where it was just like where you're kind of like what's coming out of my stereo here. You got Buy for Me the Rain by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Are you familiar with that song? Like this is
Not that song.
yeah, this is like before they were sort of
Before Will the Circle Remain Unbroken and all
yeah,
that.
this is way before that.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with that
This
at
is
all.
1967 for that one, I think. And it reached chart the 45 on the charts, right? And then
Hmm.
we go into a favorite of the show, Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band with Abba
Ooh.
Zaba, Abba Zaba.
Wow.
So and then you close this off with Venus and Furs by the Velvet Underground and Nico. So is this like not the most amazing album ever? Right?
So you've got the Velvet Underground, Captain Beefheart, the MC5, the Navs. It's like you and I, like we're like, hey, let's compile a record. And Love, you've got Love on it too. So for
Yeah,
Forever
yeah.
Changes,
Like
like doggone.
yeah, like it's the funny thing is it's hard to even say like if you look at these artists, like it's hard to say like okay, what would you choose by them otherwise, right? Like it's like okay, yeah, like that's maybe not my flake. Like MC5 it's always like, "Oh, we'll put on Kick Out the Jams," right? But it's like Shakin' Street is good,
Oh, it's
right?
awesome. Dude. I
Right?
love Shakers. Again, I mean, like I said before, that is to me, that's pop rock perfection, man.
So, detailed liner notes. It would take you years to get all of these songs in one place, Steve.
And, and
Original
cost
songs,
thousands of dollars.
original songs by the original artists. Just in case you were wondering too. Yeah, it would. It would.
Hi, I'm Peter Noon.
I sent you that one with like Tommy James from like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't go to Woodstock because I was in Hawaii at the time. I was sipping on pina coladas at the Holiday Inn.
I love how they always have like, when they tell you what artists are on there, they always have like,
The
you'll hear
testimonials,
songs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the talking heads. That's the best part where they have the people that are like, these songs bring back memories from my youth, like just kind of stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I remember hearing these songs and it's like I'm 15 all over again.
um,
On those warm summer nights, drinking iced tea under the moonlight, hearing the Nas on the radio, and I was kicking out the jams, and it's like, what?
but that one is fantastic. So I maybe I'll bring some of the other ones for show and tell.
Yeah,
But
I've seen those before. I've never nabbed them, but I mean, that's an incredible track list. I mean, you wouldn't think that you would get that detailed and that wide variety of music, but I guess if there's like 30 something volumes, I guess it's like you really gotta start digging deep, or else you're just gonna have quite a bunch of Sonny and Cher tunes or something on it.
so
But that's neat, man. That's really great.
John says operators are standing by. That's right. And if you call within the next 15 minutes, we'll send you
A complimentary tote bag.
complimentary tote bag. How
And
about
this koozie.
sounds of the 70s? I love those infomercials. I absolutely love those infomercials, and I have many fond memories of sitting on a couch in a basement with some pals of mine and just watching the infomercials. Good times. But yes, for $4, that was $4 by the way, that record. So this was back when
Wow.
they probably had a half price books 50% off coupon or something like that at the time. So
Yeah.
um, you know, as Bob Dylan once said, the times they are changing. So half price books is
Now,
not the half price books that we remember.
yeah, it's full price books now. So
Next time, just let me know before I get a.
I got it. Yeah, well, you got. Hey, I'm quick, man. You got it.
Double
One step
price
ahead.
books. Bah!
Now, and I've seen those on CD and I've seen those on LP. I imagine that it was cassette, and I imagine the CDs were insanely expensive. When did those come out? Like the early 90s?
This was 1991. This was 1991, and I think it was like they started doing them in like 89, 88, something like that. because there's a ton of volume. So some of them are like the one that's just like all soul. I don't need to tell you this. You know that. You know how they do the Time Life things, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But there's this. They have a couple that are like classic rock. This series in particular, because it's cool because it's like it's a lot of like I don't know. There's a lot of '60s stuff on here. You know what I mean? Like it's not. And then they have
Oh
ones
yeah.
that are specific years, which is pretty cool. So um, I like that because it's like sometimes it's just like they put a lot of like Motown stuff on there and things like that. You know, I just you can just hear the infomercial in your head where it's just like bow 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 bow. I've got some.
You'll hear artists like Janis Joplin. Come out, come out, and take
Exactly,
it.
exactly.
You'll hear the Doors. Come on, baby,
Yeah,
light my
that's
fire.
right. That's right. That's exactly right.
And the Jose Feliciano group. Come on, baby, light my fire. It's just like that's what they
It's
give you,
all
like the
here,
little.
Steve. The deep
Yeah.
tracks.
It's all here. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
In
So,
1969, Woodstock was held in Bethel, New York. It's
and
like, yeah,
a
shut
lot of
up,
hippies
I
gathered
can
there.
stay here long, cause I'm tired of the way. Right, you got a Country Jones
Hey,
and Bass.
Jimi Hendrix played there. Yeah, he's not on here because the licensing too expensive. But we got Richie Havens.
Would they have Richie Havens? I
and
don't know
we
if they would.
and we got Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na because Lord knows what classic rock set is complete.
At the
You have
hop,
Sha-na-na
at
followed
the
by
hop.
the MC5.
Oh my goodness, that one's good. That one is
Yeah.
is a pleasure to listen to. So,
Well, very cool.
yeah, and Craig says that was a great way to discover music pre-internet, and that was maybe
Oh
some of
yeah,
the first times it
absolutely.
was
Yeah.
like you that's who that's though that's that one, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was always
And the first time a lot to see, I'm sorry, to see some of that footage too, like even though it's just like, like seconds, but
but it's funny like when they do the '70s one because
yeah.
like 150% of that is from the Don Karshner's rock concert because it was like
Yeah.
oh ho it's magic and then they go to here's Redbone performing
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Midnight the Oasis is on here. Oh my God, quick, give me the credit card. The heck with dinner. We need to
We
order
had
this.
folk troubadours, James Taylor playing whatever. I'm going to Carolina, right? I just
Yes.
I just think of have you ever seen have you ever seen
Let me get a Simpsons reference with James Taylor,
no
famous
this is
singer,
no it's
songwriter
not
slash puzzle piece.
have you ever seen there was an episode of Saturday Night Live. It's The Rock was he was like Bigfoot and they were doing these infomercial things. I'll have to find it because
What?
yes, I'll find it.
All right.
I just realized that the joke is probably something I shouldn't say on here, so I'm not going to say it, but I will. Yeah.
Don't run for politics, then.
Don Kirshner's rock concert or the midnight special. That's right, Craig.
Yeah.
The midnight special. Which, hey, those a couple of Christmases ago, I got my father-in-law like there's one that's like a 10-disc set of those for.
From Time Life, right?
I think it's Star
Did,
Vista, Time Life, whatever they call it now.
did you get the complimentary koozie and keychain and ball
No, I got
cap?
it. I got it at Walmart. Like Walmart had it.
Oh, so you're okay.
And yeah, there was like tons and tons of hours of footage and whatever. But yeah, because they used to do that too, like where they tried to like hawk the DVDs, I think something like that. So
Probably.
yeah. So anyhow,
Like on infomercials,
yeah, where it was like
totally.
the DVDs.
Yeah, do that Sunday, like Sunday morning, like get up ungodly early for whatever reason and
Set
turn
the
on
DVR, baby, because we're gonna record some Time Life infomercials.
I'm gonna sit back
And I'm
and
gonna watch them. I'm gonna watch them. Well, it's funny because
You're gonna order that now?
yeah,
Just watching.
Craig says he got the same set, got it at Walmart for $10. I knew it was cheap.
Nice.
But Craig, I think there's a couple. There was one that was like a best of that was like only a couple of bucks. But this was pretty big. I don't think it was on Blu-ray, but it was like the size of a Blu-ray. I think there was at least 8 or 9 discs, but I think it was maybe I don't know, maybe it was $10. Maybe you got that. Maybe you got the one I'm talking about. But I know there was a couple different ones because I mean I bought one I think that was just sort of like the best of the rock or something like that. But Yeah, that was a good time for sure. Um,
Right.
but we were talking. So you said when you worked your record store, you said that you guys carried a pretty good lineup of the Time Life CDs, right? You said you guys had some sort of collection
We,
or
yeah, we it was like sounds of the 70s. They all had the same cover, but there was various volumes, but it was basically that, but it was like the 70s. Like you'd have the best of like 1974, and it would have like John Denver and Lobo and
Tony Orlando and Dawn.
like yeah, tie yellow ribbon around the old oak tree and all that kind of stuff. Like and we used to sell those. As a matter of fact, like that's how my boss at the time showed me how to look up. He's like, so if somebody comes in here and they're like, hey, do you have Chevy Van? He says, you come up here and you type Chevy Van and it's on the best of volume, it's the 70s volume, whatever. And so it's like, oh, okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean I think
So yeah, we sold those not all the time, but pretty regularly. Like there would be somebody that heard, I heard, I don't know what's an awful song from that time.
we had joy,
I,
we had fun, we had
that is the
tears in the
saddest
sun.
song in the entire world. Oh my god! Like they play that at fast food restaurants, and you're just sitting there like, dude, I don't want to eat. Like
Do
this
you
is,
do you have any of the Poppy family? Do you have any of their LPs? I have like
uh,
maybe two, I think there's two or three. I want to say
was
it's like
yeah, but God,
Susan Jacks and Terry
Terry,
Jacks before
yeah,
he did his little solo thing.
I mean, good lord, Terry Jack, what a depressing song that is. Seasons in the Sun, but
Sundown, you better take care. That's another one that they would always play on the infomercial.
oh yeah, dude, speaking of that, I mean, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, that was, I think last week was the anniversary of
I
that. And
texted
I
you
heard
that.
that
Yes,
song.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So,
Yes, I was the one
man,
that told you.
what a like wild story, and how Lake Superior is so cold that the bodies are still down. Yeah. Let's get really dark and start talking about dead dudes in a lake now, from going to like, midnight in the Oasis to there's a dead guy at the bottom of the lake. But,
You have to admit though,
that's,
that's Gordon Lightfoot's like that's like his
that's an
shining
amazing
moment.
song.
Yeah.
No, that's that. Oh yeah, that's an amazing. I'm not disparaging that song. That's a great song, man.
Are you familiar with his
So
early stuff? Are you familiar with like his earlier albums?
I am familiar with Gordon's Gold because my folks played that all the time when I was growing up. But I've got a couple of Canadian pressings of his couple of it's his first record, like first 2-3 records, but
Okay.
I've never listened to them. So I'm
Out.
familiar with his radio stuff, but the but nothing really kind of like back catalog or whatnot.
Well, here's here's a little fact about I'm gonna drop some knowledge on you about Gordon Lightfoot.
He's from Canada.
He's the
You
Canadian
know what
Bob
he calls
Dylan.
bacon?
He's the
You know
Canadian
what he
Bob
calls
Dylan.
bacon?
So Gord's Gold is actually re-recorded versions of his earlier albums because he's on a United
Oh, no
Artists
kidding.
for those ones. Yeah, so his like earlier tunes are kind of like and they're played the same way, but they got that like 70s Gordon Lightfoot sort of polish on them, where they're not really like a true like that woody folk sound. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, but yeah, that's what Gord's Gold is. So that's how he got a lot of those hits sort of back. Again, because he jumped to Warner Brothers when he was making some big money instead of United Artists. But yeah, those first albums, Lightfoot, the one he's like sitting on a chair and it's Lightfoot with
Yeah, I've got
actually
that one.
that one's really
Yeah.
good. And the other ones are like they're okay. They definitely have a United Artists put out a double disc um, album that's like those first four albums. The fifth album was one called Sunday Concert or Sunday not Sunday Morning Concert Sunday Concert I think
Afternoon.
Sunday Afternoon is that what it no
I don't know. I'm just making stuff up.
it's like Sunday Concert or something like that. It's just a live thing. So really like you can like those that was like still in print, but those like you can get those first five. Canadian
Okay.
Railroad Trilogy I think is another one that's sort of like the blueprint uh, for Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. But yeah, that's another really cool song. There's a lot of tempo changes and things like that. And I don't think that's on. I think it's like on like his second or third album. I can't remember what that one is, but you're gonna make me want to pull those out because I mean Gordon
Well,
Lightfoot,
yeah,
like he's a good. I enjoy his albums.
we'll have to check them out then. just because like I said, I haven't listened to very much of him, and I should. You're absolutely right. I absolutely should.
Well,
So
that was another album that was, if when I remember, like there was like maybe even, how they would do sort of like those like short infomercials where it was just like a commercial about a CD. That's really
yeah,
bizarre to even think about that. But that was one that I remember seeing that. That was like 2000, and I think it's the complete greatest hits. That was the first one that was like you had the United Artists stuff and the Warner Brothers stuff sort of all on the same place, because whatever happened with like Universal Music or whatever, where they all kind of joined up together. Um, but yeah, that one was one I remember that being on TV quite a bit, where they would like show those kind of things. So um, I think you had a thought. Did you have a thought?
me,
Did you have a thought? Yeah.
not a single one in my head,
All
kind
right.
sir.
Yeah, but Gordon Lightfoot, man, Gordon Lightfoot is good. So yeah. Um, what So what else? What have you been? Have you been watching any movies or any horror movies or anything like that this week at all? Or
Not really. No, no, I haven't. I've been super busy between last time and this time, so no, I haven't. I haven't watched much of anything other than like Sesame Street and Don Quixote and SpongeBob. So nothing really. Nothing really fun to talk about, unfortunately. But Mark, do you want to play a game?
sure, let's do. Oh wait, let me show one more record. I'm gonna show one more record
Okay.
that I
All right.
forgot to that I did want to actually two. I've and I told you I've been listening to like way more music in the last 3 weeks than I've listened to in like the last 2 years, just because it's like
You
we have these
think it's
conversations
because
and
of
we're
the
like,
show and like?
yeah, and we're just like, you know, um, so I wanted to elaborate a little bit. Um, this is called Welcome from the Welcome Wagon, which I probably showed this in like a Vinyl Finds video. It's probably going to be hard to see it, but um, so I enjoy the like Christian privately pressed stuff, like religious music. I always kind of like I enjoy finding those kind of things that um,
Yeah.
because they're that's what's at thrift stores right now. Like they're just you just can't find.
Well, that and
Um,
Barbara Streisand albums.
yeah, so it's one of those things that like I don't know. I find those, and like it's like if you just kind of like you find these very interesting stories about these people, and um, it's like even just that thought process, like that you have to like yeah, like right now you can if you wanted to go to your friend's basement, you wanted to record some songs, you want to put them on the online and whatever. It's like that process is so simplified now, but like back then, like you had to go and record somewhere, and you had to go to the place, you had to get the things pressed, you had to, there was like a process to it, right? And there still is,
Sure.
but like back then it was like, okay, so here's I have this off the show, I'll bring it next time. But there was this family, it's like that normal thing, like, oh hey, you got dad and mom and their kids, and they're like in this, singing band or whatever, and it was like this family that lived out east, eastern Pennsylvania, where there's like a lot of Amish and Mennonite kind of folks, and like this guy made like potato chips. He was like this, that was like his business. Like I think he was a farmer, became a pastor, um, and then like did potato chips, and then his family put out these gospel records that are like really good, like they're really
Mm.
fantastic. Um,
All right.
so this sort of fits in that vein. So the Welcome Wagon. This came out in 2008, I believe, and it's on the Asthmatic Kitty Records, which is Sufjan Stevens. I think I asked if you knew who Sufjan Stevens was,
Yeah.
and you were like, you know of him, but
Right.
you don't really own any of his records or anything like that. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Exactly.
really in the early, 2000s, 2004, 2005, things like that. Sufjan Stevens, he's still around. He still puts out albums. He's kind of moved on to sort of like lo-fi electronica, which is sort of where a lot of those, it seems like late 90s those guys were like in punk bands or like these hardcore bands, and then they like broke off and started doing their own little like these little like mini projects. Well, he was doing like this lo-fi thing and just like playing banjos and kind of things like that, and he put out an album called Come On feel the Illinois, kind of a pun. That's probably his greatest album. It's a fantastic. I will send you a copy. It's that good. It's just really like this beautiful
Okay.
soundscape kind of thing. Very intimate. Like you can hear that like the recording is, you can hear like chairs creaking when they're like sitting down and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know. And he sings in this voice that's like, it's like a really sort of a whisper voice. Like he's really close to you, when he's singing. Um, but this album sort of has that vibe. He produced that. That's his label, is Asthmatic Kitty. This guy he's a pastor. His name's Vito. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's Aiuto. He's still around. Him and his wife, they sort of did like these little house concert things. Um, but the interesting thing was some of the tracks on here. They cover Half a Person by Morrissey, which was one
Oh,
of the
wow.
ones that was kind of interesting here. Um, and then they also covered Jesus, which is, off of the Velvet's third album, right? The self-titled Velvet Underground.
Yeah,
Third
yeah,
album? Is
yeah.
that the third one? Yeah, third one.
That's their
Uh,
third record. Yeah,
um,
that one's probably my favorite by them.
so yeah, so it's, and that song, man, that song is like, you have like a religious epiphany when you listen to it. It's
Hmm.
something that's just really like, he sings this. It's very small. It's only like, it's a little mantra. It's a little prayer kind of thing, and he sings it 3 times, which is, you think about the Trinity as far as with Christianity and stuff like that. But they do a sort of a different thing. It's a little more bombastic kind of thing. But like, I don't know. This album hit the spot this week, so I was listening
Very
to that.
cool.
And I was also listening to this, which is Wand 1000 Days. And this is more like a kind of like a modern psychedelic kind of record, which I feel like this came out maybe like 2013, 2012, something like that. But
Hmm.
sort of like, if you like the Brian Jonestown Massacre, sort of that shoegaze kind of neo psychedelic kind of music. Those are those things. So yeah,
Very cool.
that's what I was listening to this week. So let's play a game.
All right, let's play a game. So, admitted these. Well, so what I thought. Let me explain. What I thought would be kind of fun to do. Well, first let's check on the chat and see who we got in there and if people are asking questions and whatnot before we jump to something else.
Okay. Yeah. We have the chats. The chat's been streaming live. So yeah, it's been, you guys, if you guys want to talk about something, or if you want to, anything you want to sort of hit on, let's go ahead and do that. Because Craig was talking a little bit about Gord's Gold. Uh,
Okay.
I wonder if Trevor will jump on. He was looking at. Remember, we were talking about Sun Ra last week.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if he dove in any of those or what he checked out. But while we're waiting for that, so now these numbers are from 2017. So they're about 4 years old. But what I thought it was very interesting, and I kind of went down the rabbit hole to an extent with this, is how much artists charge per show. Now
Okay.
you can well imagine, like like your Fleetwood Macs and your Rolling Stones, they're probably $1 million plus and things like that. But I'm talking about more of like your down the ladder bands, and not necessarily rock bands, but just kind of bands and artists in general. So I thought it would be kind of cool for me to have a few of them and kind of give you a range and see how close you get.
Okay. All right. So now let me ask a question real quick, just so I make sure I
Yes,
understand the rules correctly. Is this so when the artist says we're going to play this thing, this is how much they're like, we want this much money? This isn't like
guaranteed.
we don't. Okay, this is the guaranteed money. Okay.
Yes. All right. So this is from $1,000 all the way to $10,000 are these artists. So let's start with. Let me see here. Let's start with. Who am I going to start with? That would be good for both of us. Let me see here. No, I didn't pick these out ahead of time because how about the Crickets? No Buddy Holly, just a band touring called the Crickets, playing Buddy Holly songs, obviously.
So this goes. Okay. So I think. So one thing I want to preface this by, right? So there's this place in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, that's called the Palace Theater. And Steve, I know you're familiar with the venue, but the Palace Theater is basically is the casino circuit, right? So there are
Yeah.
there is one casino in Pittsburgh. Just it's something recent, right? It's only been there for, well, I say recent, it's only been there for like 15 years now at this point. But it's not something it hasn't been like we've always had casinos or something like that.
Sure.
So the casino circuit is the Palace Theater in Greensburg, and what they'll do is they'll get these guys, these bands, and they'll just put up the little sign, and then they'll put that in the, just in these random places around the city, and it'll be like, oh, blah 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 is playing the Palace Theater, and we talked about the Guess Who, right? So
Yeah.
the Guess Who, which is the only original member of the Guess Who was the drummer, right? It was so
Because he's the most recognizable one, of course.
that's right.
That's
Yeah.
Bob Franks, the drummer for the Guess Who.
He played drums on American Woman, songs like These Eyes, No Time, Undone, Share the Land.
Did he write those songs?
Original songs from the original artist, right? Okay. So yeah, so I would say just the crickets, right? That's a casino. You just put your arm through me. Ah! I don't know if you saw it. It was pretty
Boom!
the casino circuit, right? So I would say the crickets, like, they would want, like, I would say $15,000.
You are very close, between 10 and 20. Look at
Okay,
you.
all right. So right in the middle.
Between 10 and Trump, right in the middle. So that was, how about King's X? Are you familiar with the band King's X?
So
I'm sure
King's
you've
X
heard
is sort of
them.
like
Maybe.
they're sort of like a metal band, right? Or like hair metal
Like,
band, right?
they were around at the same time, but they're kind of like more like grunge rock, kind of
Okay.
like maybe like a sprinkle of hair metal. They came right there at the tail end.
They were in
so,
that weird. They were in that weird sort of like Guns N'
real
Roses.
transitional
Yeah,
period.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say they're probably like $20,000. I would say, right?
Oh, that's significant.
It's
You're
like
way off.
8,000, like 8,000.
Between 5 and 7.5.
Okay, all right.
So, all right. So look at
Not
you.
bad,
You're
not bad.
not bad at all. So let's let me see here. Ooh, how about Real Big Fish?
Oh, Real Big Fish.
Yeah.
So I feel like they still have a following. So I feel like tickets to see them would probably be like $20 or $25, or like 30. Like they would do.
Probably.
I would say so. I'm thinking. I'm thinking like 15 to 20, somewhere around in there. What do you think?
Dude, that's exactly what it is. 15 to 20K. Look at you. You are just, did I send this to you unbeknownst? Did you just take a look?
No.
All right.
Craig said King's X are great. My best comparison would be a metal Beatles.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. I'll have to. Craig, what song should I listen to? Hit me up with a quick playlist.
Well, Craig, what's that? Give me $1 or give me 50 cents. I know that song. It's off of the one that has the, like, is that off of Gretchen Goes to Nebraska? Yeah.
I am the walrus.
I am the walrus. I am the wall. It's like Lennon said.
Lennon. You're right. Yeah, we both thought it. We both thought it.
All right. How about Shooter Jennings?
So Shooter Jennings, I saw him at a somewhat smaller theater, and the tickets were, I'll tell you how much the tickets were, because I have it right
I had
here.
tickets to go see him with a friend of mine, and then COVID happened. So
really?
Yeah, he was playing like 2 weeks, I think, after everything happened, up the road, downtown.
Putting the O back in country. There you go. Shooter Jennings, the Rex Theater, Saturday, November 11th, 2016. So that was almost 15 years ago to the day. You see the ticket price there? $16.67 with a $5 surcharge. So it was probably $21 and some change. So I would say he's still probably within that $20 to $25 range. So I would put him probably in that like $10,000 to $15,000 range, right?
15 to 20, dude. You are closer. You are closer.
I undersold him a little bit. I'm not probably in those southern venues. I'm sure he gets a pretty good following.
All right, we're gonna move on to a harder one.
Okay.
Jefferson Starship.
Ooh, Jefferson Starship. See, they play the
Palace.
Palace.
Not Airplane.
They play the Palace. So Those are big money tickets. That's like a $40 ticket. So I'm saying they're
$40 to see Jefferson Starship.
I'd say $35 to $40 to see them. Yep.
Yeah, you would have to have dropped acid to go pay $40 to go see them.
So I would say they're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about $20,000. I'd say, right?
15 to 25. 15. This is no fun for me because you're getting all of them.
How does one even obtain a permit to build a city on rock and roll, Steve? Tell me that.
John McLaughlin.
John McLaughlin. You know what? I'm going to blow your mind right now.
Please.
John McLaughlin is playing at a show, or playing at a venue called Club Cafe in Pittsburgh tonight. And if I know one thing about Club Cafe is it is, let me see, Club Cafe. I want to say the tickets were around maybe like $25. So,
okay.
But I would say for him to be there, we know this doesn't work. I don't even know why I'm showing you this. He's playing tonight. In fact, if we would get in the car right now, we could probably go see John McLaughlin. It's 21 and over, and you do need a 72-hour COVID test to get in. So, yeah. And that, is this a different John McLaughlin?
There's two?
Apparently there's two. Wait a second. This is
his drummer took the name and it was like, I'll see you in court.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
It says drummer 4 and then John McLaughlin in big letters.
This is not, it's not what? The same John McLaughlin. No, it's not.
How is it not? There's two?
There's two John McLaughlins. Anyhow.
You're going to have a lot of confused, upset people
I'm
that
really
are like,
glad. I'm really glad that I didn't even consider that. John McLaughlin, I would say $12,000.
10 to 15.
There we go.
I'm only gonna do a couple more because you're getting all these, okay. And my fun is ruined. All right. Let me see here. All right, let's go up a little bit. I'm gonna go significantly up. I'm going to go to. Let's see. I've got 3 more pages left. I'm going to pick 3 more, and we're going to see how you do. Blues Traveler.
So I'm going to say like $12,000 for them. They might be lower.
You are way off. You are way lower. No.
5?
You're way off. Your stratosphere's off. Good. My plan is working.
Okay.
Guess. One more guess.
Higher or lower than my initial guess?
Higher.
22,000.
You're still low.
What?
Yeah, you're still low. One more guess.
30,000.
That's good. We're baseball rules. Okay, 30 to 40,000 K is what they ask per show.
Per show for Blues
per
Traveler.
Show for Blues Traveler. Here's another one.
Well, you consider that there's what they'll get maybe 30 paying tickets to go see that. So see, I don't know. They played the casino. They played the casino for like free. They did like an outdoor concert.
I dig Blues Traveler. I like 4. I like that first one with But Anyway on it and all that kind of stuff. Like it looks like I have my arm around you, or like anyway. So, but I was surprised. Hey man, let's Cheap Trick. We just talked about them. What do you think they ask per show?
They're like 22,000, I'd say.
Way off.
Higher or lower?
Way higher.
Oh, 45,000?
45 to 70,000. Which is quite a range. Dude, Cheap Trick's had some big hits, man.
To play the fair?
I think that one.
To play the fair?
Yes. Oh, here, yeah, and you, yeah.
Give me that fair.
How about they get all the free riblets they want, so there's that. It's like, all right. Here's another good one. Casey and the Sunshine Band. You know, KC gets the lion's share.
Yeah, he gets 22,000 and everybody else gets 1,000.
That's probably what it boils down to, 50 to 75.
$50,000 to $75,000 per
For
show.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, man. They make that money.
Well, it makes
Here's
sense.
one.
It makes sense why the tickets are like $50, right? Like
Yeah, because they gotta pay him like 75
makes
grand.
sense. It makes sense. It makes sense.
They gotta get that return. How about this? How about the Goo Goo Dolls? What do you think the Goo Goo Dolls are commanding?
Goo Goo Dolls. See, they play like stage AE, which is like 45 to $50 per ticket. So I would put them
Okay,
in that upwards of 30,000,
way off.
50,000.
75 to 100.
What the heck are these guys spending money on?
I don't know, man.
Diesel fuel
That's
to for the tour bus?
all right. Let's go for another bigger name act. How about Weezer? What do you think Weezer commands per show?
See, Weezer and Green Day, and there was a third band, Fall Out Boy, I think, did the Hella Mega tour, and
Yeah,
they
like
played.
like year before last.
No, like this summer. It was
Was it this
postponed
summer?
because of
Okay.
COVID. Yeah, they played PNC Park, and tickets were insane, like hundreds of
Yeah.
dollars. So I would put them maybe 150,000 at least. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
100 to 150.
Okay.
So, all right, let's go. All right, these are all right. I'm going to get you two more, and then we're going to call you a winner because you've gotten. Okay, how about this one? Pearl Jam,
Pearl Jam, $250,000.
3 to 500.
Wow.
So, all right, last one. Let me pick a good.
Hey,
here we go.
Hold on a second. So let's pump the brakes here for a second. So,
Screech.
so where are you a Pearl Jam fan or are you not a Pearl Jam fan?
I am a casual Pearl Jam fan.
You're a casual Pearl Jam fan. Okay. I think Craig.
Like I like 10. I like Vitology. And a couple of songs here and there, but I am not like a bootleg hunter or anything like that.
Okay.
I really need to put this on the other side because it looks like I'm
putting through my chest. Let's wait for the stream to catch up with Craig. Craig, I think Craig is like a big time Pearl Jam fan.
Yeah.
So let's just wait for him to respond. Hopefully he's not like.
I was gonna say he's
doing laundry. Let me check and see how many people are even watching the stream right now. Hey, we have 5 people. Hello. Hey.
Hey, sorry, look at us.
I've been watching the live chat, so I apologize. I haven't been like looking and seeing like how many people are here. So if you want to say hey, go ahead and say hey in the chat. We got probably about half an hour, 25 minutes left of the stream. Craig says yes, I am.
Let's make it count.
Yeah, make it count. So what do you guys want to talk about? Oh, maybe this thing isn't updating as fast as I thought it was. Oh, there he is. Yes, I am. Craig, how many times have you seen Pearl Jam? I've seen Pearl Jam once. I saw them open for the Rolling Stones, and I think it was like one of the greatest concerts that I've ever been at in my entire life. He's eating chips. He was eating chips. He wasn't doing laundry.
What kind of potato chips?
Is there dip? Do you have dip with the potato chips?
Greatest potato chips ever, Mark. And why is it Oots barbecue?
Yes. I would say,
or Cool Ranch Doritos. Those are the only two acceptable answers.
Their chili ones are pretty good. Those the sweet heat chili or the sweet chili.
Oh, the purple bags.
Purple bags, yeah, the purple bags.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I would say I would go with, if I can't get the Carolina barbecue, I would say, you've never seen Pearl Jam before? He said none, surprisingly. If you can't find the Carolina barbecue, I would go with the Ripple barbecue with French onion dip. Because if you're shooting for 1,000 calories a day, you might as well shoot for 10,000 calories a day. Nashville style hot crinkle kettle cooked. What brand is that? That sounds like a local brand. That's not something Lay's is putting out, I'll tell you that much. Nashville style hot crinkle cut kettle cooked. Could you imagine being like what are we making today? We're making Nashville style hot crinkle cut kettle cooked.
We, we make it ruffle jalapeno
We
cheese
we
kettle cooked.
abbreviated the NSHCCKC.
Doesn't matter. You'll buy them. You'll eat them.
It just hurts the roof of my mouth just thinking about those kind of chips.
Yeah, the kettle ones. Have you had these voodoo chips?
Yeah, the voodoo chips. Yes, those are
Yeah,
The Zaps brand. That's the
yeah,
Zaps brand chip.
yeah.
Yeah, we should get.
Dude, you talk about.
We need to get the Grown Man Record dudes in here because it's a Meyer brand. Yeah, I am familiar with Meyer, but that's the Midwest. It's Midwest. There's not any Meyers around here. Um, even though we're sort of like in the Middle East, as they say, right? Um, but yeah, the Grown Man Record guys are all about that. So they do a chip chat. They do fun stuff like that. So we'll have to ask Mike if he's had those ones before. But Pearl Jam, we were talking about Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam was like the greatest Pearl Jam concert that I ever went to because I only it was opening for the Rolling Stones, and it was just like I just felt like the torch was being passed. Like I felt like and of course the Rolling Stones have played Pittsburgh 3 or 4 times since then. Um, and I was like, this is the last time I'm ever going to see the Rolling Stones. And yeah, I kind of felt like I think Pearl Jam in 20 years will be that band that is like the Rolling Stones. Like people will be like, Pearl Jam, you got to go see Pearl Jam. I feel like that.
What song did Eddie Vedder come out and sing with the Stones?
Without looking at the at the set list, I think it was Wild Horses. I want to say.
I was going to say that sounds about right.
I think that was the one. But yeah,
Wild Horses.
but like even Pearl Jam was like greatest hits live. Like it was like all the good stuff. Like their show was fantastic. Um, yeah. So let's. You said you got one more. You got two more.
One more.
For me? Okay.
Let's just do two more. All right. Springsteen and Dylan. What do they charge?
Oh man, Dylan played in Pittsburgh last night. He played a show.
How about Dylan's set list that he's busting? He played Every Grain of Sand like a couple of weeks ago.
Well,
he is pulling out just a lot of just obscure stuff. His set list lately has been looking amazing.
The newspaper really kind of gave him what for, because they were like, he's playing everything from Rough and Rowdy Ways and a bunch of obscure stuff from the 80s. So they kind of gave him what for, but like we were talking about, he's got that, the Springtime in New York thing about the 80s. Like that's the, you know what I mean?
Like, what do you want to just hear? You just want to hear the same songs you've seen him live before? I mean,
yeah.
Like, he played like a Rolling Stone, I'm sure. And like, so you get a couple of that, but yeah, dude, play some back catalog stuff.
He always, he'll always bust out, something like from the Glory
days. Watching the river flow or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just sort of like weary about seeing concerts right now. I don't know.
Yeah. It'll be a long time before I feel comfortable going back into any kind of big setting like that.
So it's kind of crazy to think that, just 2 years ago that he was there, like pretty much the exact same time 2 years ago. And that was a good show. I enjoyed that one. And it was that venue's really nice. Yeah. Nice venue to see him there. Dylan, I would say $500,000 per show.
Yep. Yeah. You're right in there. 3 to 5. All right, and the last one, Springsteen.
Just turn the money printer on, right? Like, he has to be $1 million per show.
$1 million, $1 million guaranteed per show. So, man, you were right on the money. Saints Blues Traveler, dude. You were.
I've seen a lot of shows. I've seen a lot of shows. I think that was sort of what I kept in mind. Is you think about the ticket price and you think about how many people were there and sort of think about that. But yeah, Craig says he's been meaning to see them live, but the opportunity hasn't presented itself. They're on my bucket list. Yeah, man, go out there and make sure you see them. They'll be around, but it's just very strange that you think about sort of those 4 or 5 dudes. You got Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. You got Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots. You got Kurt from Nirvana. You got Lane Staley from Alice in Chains. Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon, right?
But yeah,
like those are like some of the huge. And then you got Eddie Vedder, and like he's, like those were like six huge bands back in the day, and yeah, that's crazy to
Well,
think about.
Pearl Jam is really the only band like of those that are around. Like, I mean, Alice in Chains is around with a new singer and all that, aren't they? And there's
Yeah,
a couple other bands
yeah.
that are kind of doing it without, excuse me, major members and things like that. But I think Pearl Jam's still the only one that's got a. Do they have an original lineup intact, or have they kind of swapped
So
members out?
yeah, I don't think they have the original because what there was didn't their drummer, the original drummer, I think that they had, didn't he die of a heroin overdose back in the early
Oh, I don't
'90s or
know.
something like that? Why am I thinking of the name Jack Irons right now? What was he? I feel like he was. I feel like the
Jack Irons
Jack Irons. Who is Jack Irons? He was the American
sounds
drummer.
like a Bond villain.
No, he's still alive. He was the founding drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's what I was thinking. Um,
Okay.
and then he was a member of. He's still alive though. Maybe it is. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not my Pearl Jam history is not the best, but yeah. Craig says it's crazy to think about it that way. They seemed like the band that would continue to grow. I felt like that way even back in the mid '90s. Yeah, yeah. Jack played on No Code and Yield. Okay, that's it. Um, yeah, I think that it's weird that we sort of grew up with that music. I know Steve, I'm a little bit older than you are, um, but like man, they would just play those band like alternative radio. I mean, they would just play those bands just just
Yeah,
in
I had
succession all the time.
a friend of mine I grew up with, like his brother is either a year older than you or the same age as you. And I remember him like going into like his room and he'd have like cassette tapes for like Verse and Appetite for Destruction and Nevermind and things like that. And so, those are cassettes I remember seeing like super early on. And like Bad Motorfinger, I remember seeing that cassette laying around. So,
Yeah,
which is that's a great record, man.
yeah. I
That
mean,
first Soundgarden album is amazing.
you think about those bands and just sort of how that they like there really is that dividing line where there's the folks that like the Bon Jovi, Poison, like the hair metal kind of thing, and then like they don't like they never really liked grunge. Like that was just something like they were either out of college at that point or it was just like not something that but then it's like I feel like folks that are like our age, like it
Mhm.
just like that stuff was all over the radio. Like just I mean, so like when I was in um when I was like in junior high, middle school, whatever you want to call it, like Weezer was just like really huge. I mean, like Kurt Cobain had already like passed away at that point. So he it was like people would I remember like when the Foo Fighters came out and they're like, oh man, this is Dave Grohl and he was the drummer for the Nirvana and all that and like
Yeah.
he's playing guitar now, he's not playing drums like like you were so shocked and it's like stuff like everything moved really slow because it was like you just sort of like an album would come out, it seemed like forever. And even like bands like you talked about with like Blues Traveler, like when is it four? Is that the name of that album with the cat on it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They came out in '96. I remember specifically going to the record store because my dad was like, "I got to get this." I heard the hook and I've heard "Run Around" and like, yeah, he was like, he was like, "I got to get this. That's great stuff." So,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember when that came out.
But like, those records, I remember when Vitology came out.
Hmm.
I remember being at there was like we had the outlets that were near us and they had a music store there and like a CD store and they were like my buddy was like, I gotta get the new Pearl Jam, like it's Vitology. And I remember just like the whole car ride home, we're like looking at the Vitology book. Did I ever show you that I have the original Vitology book? Did I ever show you this?
No,
I'll have
no.
to show you this. I was at a flea market and I found it, like the one from like the
Wow,
1800s or whatever. Yeah, like I have that. It's like falling apart
that's
because,
awesome.
but I have it, and it's pretty like they just pretty much just photocopied like pages from that. They change the text around, but
Sure,
it's straight up the original Vitology thing. So,
that's
um,
really cool.
Craig, I'll have to
Uh,
show you. I don't think Craig knows that I have that either, but I'll definitely show you, Craig.
Something else about that period that's really kind of strange too is, that definitely the grunge was kind of like killed off the hair metal bands, and but some of those bands that hung on, like Motley Crue, like they got rid of Vince Neil and they got John Corabi in there, and they put out that self-titled album in '94. And granted, they were definitely trying to keep up with trends, but that's the best thing Motley Crue ever did. And it's a dark grunge album, and they're definitely trying to keep up with trends. But that's a great record, and unfortunately, it never had a leg to stand on. It was too grunge to be popular with the hair metal
Yeah,
guys, and it
yeah,
was too hair metal to be popular with the grunge guys. So it was just one of those things that it was destined to fail. But it's a great record, and kind of like after Kurt Cobain died, there was that lull until what was the next big thing to come out after that? Because I think there was somewhat of a lull in between. Because think about it, you had in 90, was it 94 95 that Kurt
94.
Cobain died?
Yeah, 94.
94, and you had Jerry died the next year, and there was just kind of a lull there. I guess Smashing Pumpkins,
Smashing
they kind
Pumpkins
of got
were
huge
yeah,
around that
yeah.
time.
So there was a lot like the around here the probably the biggest albums, right? So Smashing Pumpkins were really really big.
Yeah,
The Weezer's Blue album was huge, but also too they played a lot of like Rancid. They played on the radio. They played Time Bomb all the time and Ruby Soho. And
what a
then
great song that is.
and then and Out Come the Wolves is probably that's
That's
on.
one of the best punk rock. That's the best '90s punk album. Period.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things that like you can listen to it and then you realize you're like 17 songs in and it's like only like halfway over because there's a ton of songs in it.
Yeah,
But like Maxwell
that and
Murder,
Operation Ivy. I like
right?
listening to those, and I'm
Yeah.
like 16 years old all over again.
Yeah, those are incredible albums. Um, but like I feel like it was sort of like for me personally, there was a lot of like there was a huge uptick with like so Green Day Dookie came out like right around that
Mhm.
time, like 90. I want to say it was late 94, early yeah,
94. Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah,
it was late 94. Because that was like April of 94, and then I feel like that was like spring of whatever. Um, but then you also had like right around that time like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Like there was like that third wave ska thing kind of coming in. Like No
yeah. That
Doubt,
was huge for about a summer. Yeah,
yeah, No Doubt. You had Sublime, and like so that all that music changed into sort of like that like horn rock and like you were talking about Real Big Fish, right? They were on the radio,
right.
Goldfinger, and then that sort of like to me that sort of like was that period where those bands were sort of like 96 97 and then by like 98 97 98 it was like Korn, Limp Bizkit, and then like Blink 182, and then that was sort of like that's like the end period for me because I was like really into punk rock at that point, and like we were like
Yeah.
we were above Blink 182. We weren't going to go pay money to go see Blink 182. We thought they were sellouts or whatever, so we would much rather go see Anti Flag or the Voodoo Glow Skulls or Dropkick Murphys. We saw them about 100 times when
Right.
they would come when they came to Pittsburgh. Like
Well,
the Bouncing Souls, the Suicide Machines. Yeah, Less Than Jake. I
say
mean,
what you.
I probably saw Less Than Jake like at least 8 or 9 times, I'd say,
Really?
and yeah, and there was like right before the end of my senior year, um, there was a show that was Anti Flag, Less Than Jake, and Newfound Glory. And Newfound Glory was the band that
Wow.
opened. And I remember like going back to school. This was probably like in March. I want to say it was in March. And like there were like kids in my homeroom that were like they had like Newfound Glory shirts on. They were like, oh, me and my new Anti-Flag T-shirt that smelled like sweat and mustard
Beer
because
and
the
stale cigarettes and all
yeah
that. Yeah.
cigarettes and mustard basically.
It's
Um,
smelly dudes.
and I'm like wearing that into school the next day. Oh, you were at the Newfound Glory show. I was like, I wasn't at the Newfound Glory show. I was at the Anti-Flag show. But yeah, that was sort of is weird because that was sort of like my last like 2 months in high school, and it was like
Yeah.
because I mean, I was a big time punk. Like I loved punk music, and like
Yeah.
definitely wasn't listening to Grateful Dead during that time frame. So,
No, I got into them my senior year. Like I definitely like my sophomore and junior year. It was Ramones, and once I heard the Ramones, I mean everything that followed, the Clash, the Sex Pistols, the Damned. You get into all that stuff like just by that, the Dead Kennedys. You get into that, that you get that Ramones record, and then everything else just kind of falls into place.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and then my senior year, I got American Beauty, and I was like, this is good.
I was listening to that stuff like at a very young age for me.
Yeah.
So I was, that was the summer of '95. I was in sixth grade, and I plunked down the $6 that I had saved up. And I don't know if do you remember Ames? That was probably regional, so you don't remember Ames.
No, we have a names.
We have an Ames, okay.
Yeah,
So
we have a names.
well, you probably don't have it anymore because they've been bankrupt for 20 years now or so. But
Well, what am I thinking of then? No, there's an outlet store that I'm
okay,
thinking of. It's not an Ames. It's
yeah,
something else then.
yeah. Ames was like
What is in there?
Ames was like a
They had
third.
it was red and had a white
No,
logo, right?
no,
Okay, then I'm thinking of something
it
else
was
then.
green and white.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm thinking of something completely different then.
So there was this chain store here that was called Hills, Hills, that was sort of the target of its day, and Hills got bought out by Ames, and then Ames just declared bankruptcy because they just had all these stores and they couldn't do anything. But that was also, before Walmart was, the Walmart that we had in town that they built, it wasn't open 24 hours a day. And then when the Super Walmart opened up, that was, hey, we're going to go to Walmart and look at the CDs. But yeah, so I bought Terrapin Station. That was my first cassette tape, and I listened to that in that entire summer. Probably midway through the summer, I picked up Go to Heaven. So again, two kind of very strange records to listen to as your first two Grateful Dead records. So you get the one that's
Yeah,
like,
really.
here is the magnum opus, and then Go to Heaven is sort of still one of my favorite albums to this day, and you know why, we've talked about it time and time again.
Sure.
Um, and then I think I got In the Dark right before the end of the summer was up. And then in August, Jerry passed away. And I remember going to school, and all my friends that were into Grateful Dead, that had Grateful Dead t-shirts there in sixth grade, their older brothers' t-shirts, they were like, yeah, we don't listen to this. We listen to Notorious B.I.G. and and stuff and Tupac. Like Tupac was like really big around that time, and they were all into rap. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? I spent like all summer like memorizing all the guitar lines to Terrapin Station, and yeah, so and yeah, Craig mentions Skeletons from the Closet. He said got a February of '96 for my 10th birthday. Man, Craig,
Wow.
longtime fan. Took a while before I got on the bus, but that's where I started. One of my favorite points in my life, one of the milestones, was when I turned 24, and I was like, I've been listening to Grateful Dead longer than half my life. So, Craig, I know you're about our age, so you've definitely hit that milestone. So congratulations. But yeah, I'm eclipsing to listening to it, twice as long than I've been alive. So that's fun. Which I have.
So
Yeah.
Craig and I are around the same age, and it's funny that you brought up being in sixth grade because that's when I got into Kiss. That was like the first. That was the first. Like my parents were big Beatles fans, and that's how I kind of got onto it, and the Stones and things like that. But Kiss was like that first band that like I found on my own, and it was in sixth grade, and I got double platinum on cassette. And just I played it and got Kiss Alive 2 a few weeks later. So your Grateful Dead thing is kind of like my Kiss thing, and I got really into the Grateful Dead in like my senior year, and I'm thinking back on it now. I may have had American Beauty, like we were stationed overseas, and my mom was going to visit my brother in the States, and she's like, well, can I bring you back anything? And I wrote down like 3 or 4 CDs, and that was one of them that she brought back.
Nice.
And I liked it. And I want to say like my senior year, I think I got American Beauty. I was like either a freshman, maybe. What did I get my senior year? That live, maybe it was Live Dead. and maybe that's what kind of like really turned me on to it. But I got both of those for kind of like my early Dead, and I think for Christmas that year of like 04, 05, I got the box set that got Beyond Description.
Okay. Yeah.
So and
The
that kind of
second
like
one,
that sealed the deal. Yeah, that kind of like sealed the deal.
yeah.
So
It's crazy how that sort of all that kind of, and I feel that like kind of shapes you as who you are as a fan. But yeah, I know even like with my like the first year, like it was really cool to find people that like listened to Grateful Dead, and they were like, oh, like I had a friend that was like, so I had those cassettes, and then like I think maybe for like around October of that year, I got Skeletons from the Closet.
okay,
And then I know I bought the self-titled was the first CD that I bought with my own money. And then I got American Beauty and then Working Man's Dead for that Christmas. So like within that first year, like I was pretty loaded up with stuff. But like I had friends that were like, "Hey, I have Reckoning." And you're like, "Oh man, Reckoning. What's this?" And then you just basically, uh, you give them the a cassette and like, hey, just
yeah,
put that on cassette for me. So like a lot of that stuff I
right.
just had as a cassette of a copy of whatever somebody had. So um, yeah, that was it's just interesting how that kind of does that. So hey, Vinyl Richie's on. Vinyl Richie, what is up? Good to see you. So
What's up?
the Beatles were the turning point for him. Um, Craig says Nirvana, the Beatles, and Kiss were my first bands that my parents weren't into that were
Yeah,
my bands. I was about 8
yeah,
when I got into those. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy to think that
yeah.
you're 8 years old getting into music like that.
Well, I mean, it was, but see, like '96, I remember it clear as day. I just got done helping my dad with yard work, and we were channel surfing, and it was like I think Kiss had played like their reunion show in like Detroit, and like they were showing like like just kind of stills and things like that from. I was like, "What is this?" And my dad's like, "Oh, this is Kiss." I was like, "This looks awesome." And he's like, "Well, you help me in the yard." He says, "Shower up and I'll take you to the record store if you want to grab some." Okay. So and of course from there it was like BMG music because my dad's the only person I know that like actually like would like abide by the contract, like ordering through like
See, I had a friend that did the same thing. He did.
yeah.
He would say we would look at the book and he would be like, "You give me $2 and you can get any CD on here." And then
See, that was this. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that was sort of the scam. Like he got $2 from all of his friends and bought the one CD that he had to buy for 16.98 or whatever it was, and then it was free for him, but he collected and he didn't get all the CDs or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, and then my friend's older brother was like, no, you put the neighbor's address on it and then take the package like you live there, and
yeah,
sight unseen, and it's
yeah.
like
Commit mail fraud.
it's like yeah, exactly. It's like it's like and so by the end of it, it's like you've committed mail fraud, and it's like, hey, but you got a pretty superb CD collection there that you
Yeah,
paid 99 cents for,
that's great.
so or 1 penny.
So I know we were talking about Motley Crue doing that grunge album. Was
Yeah.
that Kiss Revenge? Was that their grunge album, or was that like where?
So I would, well, yes, but I think you see, Kiss, they had an album they were working on in '94 called Carnival of Souls,
Okay, so
which is
then that
not
came
bad.
out. That came out what, like
But
'98, right? Did that
yeah,
come?
because they
Psycho
shelved it
Circus. No,
because the
Psycho Circus.
reunion happened.
Okay.
Yeah, well, but no, they came out around the same time because they shelved it when they got Peter and Ace back and all that. And that one's like, I would say Revenge has got like kind of sprinklings of grunge, but it's still very much kind of a hair metal album. But Carnival of Souls is full blown grunge. I mean, the first song on it is Hate and Gene. It's completely like, it's not a bad record. Like, I'm a Kiss fan, so there is some bias there. Like, I'm not going to say it's amazing or anything like that, but it's got some pretty like In the Mirror and Jungle and things like that. I think are okay. But yeah, no, that's definitely their grunge album. And like I said, that self-titled Motley Crue, it sounds nothing like anything else in their catalog. And to me, I think it's the best thing they did. Maybe that or Shout at the Devil, but that definitely is like, that's a great record, man. Like, this is where you and I differ.
Yeah,
on
you're
hair
just
metal,
saying
like,
things.
or like
You're just making up names.
like
You could
dude,
just be making up album
80,
titles, and I'd have no idea. I would just be
like
okay,
dude,
yeah, okay,
dude.
okay.
80s metal to me is what like English folk is to you. It's kind of like we both respect each other, but like that's where it's like, all right, there's that line.
That's where if we were working at a record store, I'd be like, Steve, yeah, can you help this guy out here? Oh yeah. Well, there you go.
Hey, I'm looking for a Dio record. Yeah, I can help you out. Hey, do you have any Fairport Convict, Mark?
Exactly.
But it's all good. There's enough.
Craig said the Carnival of Souls is way better than Psycho Circus. So,
yeah, I would agree. And I think Carnival of Souls is way better than Revenge. So
that's funny. Yeah, Steve, you know my story. I've listened to a few Kiss albums in my day.
Have you ever heard The Elder?
I know of it. I've never actually heard it.
I love it. I'd be curious to hear what Craig says. That's one of my favorite Kiss records, and unironically too. I really love it. So
that's produced by Bob Ezrin. That's the same guy that did the Wall, right? Like
and Alice Cooper stuff and all that. So
yeah. So
I'd be interested to hear your take on it eventually.
I mean, I would be up for a listen. I'd listen to it. I mean, I'm sure that much like you tried to make me listen to Gene Simmons' solo album, and I was just like,
it's good.
Yeah. Craig says The Elder is worth checking out. I love that album. So.
See, man, my man. There we go. Craig's a hip dude. He's a hip dude.
You're just playing to the crowd. That's what you're doing.
Hey, it's there's no accounting for taste, and he certainly has it.
Yeah. So why don't we? You want to wrap this one up, Steve? It's about 10 o'clock.
It's up to you. Yeah, it's 10. So
anything you guys want to talk about? We'll throw it out to the chat. If not, it's just time to go to bed. I believe Lou Reed had a hand in writing The Elder. What?
Yeah. He wrote World Without Heroes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, it was their attempt to do for those of you who may not know or care. It was their attempt at doing like a serious, progressive sort of album. It's completely unlike anything in their catalog. But it's funny. You had Unmasked, which came out in '80, and that was kind of definitely a pop disco record. I love that album. You had The Elder in '81, and then in '82 you had Creatures of the Night, which was like their heavy metal album. And so it's kind of like it's funny. In 3 years, you have so many different genres of music cycling through one band. So
now, do you think they were doing that to stay relevant, or was it like?
Oh, I'm sure. I don't think that was any kind of. This is where we are right now. I think it's like we need some money. So
now they're just like,
Yeah, exactly. I think it was definitely it came Steve, out of trying to.
This is Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Whenever you leave me those audio messages, I'm like, I gotta keep them, man. I'll go back and listen to them. But no, I think that was all done out of like a financial standpoint, not because as soon as disco lost flavor, they're like, no, we don't do those disco songs anymore. And it took 15 years for "I Was Made for Loving You" to come back in the set. So.
But
I don't think that was an artistic decision. I think that was strictly financial.
That's the weird thing about music is that we just like, and I don't know what it is. And I think that's the thing that always intrigues me is you have a song like that, which that was like, to me, that's like the Dynasty album, right? That's like the video. They were even like, they're emoting the cover basically in the video. Yeah. And then it's like, we as fans are like, we don't accept this anymore. Like, we don't. And then it's like, you have that passage of time, and then you go back and you look at it and you're like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, they'll bring it back in the set and people will be like, oh man, I remember when I was first time I played Dynasty. You know what I mean? Like, it's a time capsule. Like, it instantly, it brings that back.
It really is, and I think it being good or not is subjective, and I don't think that's the point. I just think you'll always look back at nostalgia with rose-colored glasses, and even if it's terrible, just because you remember it and maybe that was like associated with a happy memory or a happy time, it kind of gets a pass and it becomes good then, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no. I mean, but that's like the crazy thing about music is like it's just, it holds that like time stands still when you think about the nostalgia part of music, and it's like, and I think that one of the dangers of that is just how that, we have these crazy box sets that come out, and just how they're, like they're playing on your emotions. Like they just want, how do we get more money out of, the person who's buying the music? Well, we just need to make them
well
think about better times. That's what we have to do.
there's that, but think about here's another time with those Time Life releases that you talked about
Yeah.
earlier in the show. That they're strictly, performing on nostalgia. They don't talk about the 60s. They're like, do you remember when this politician was assassinated and the next week this guy went? How
Right.
about Vietnam and all this? No, they're
Well,
going to
right.
talk
And
about,
they'll do right.
flower power and all
Yeah.
this kind of, they're going to talk about the happy memories, or,
Yeah.
so, yeah, they're selling they're selling memories at that point, and they know they are, and there's nothing wrong with that per se, but yeah, they're totally capitalizing on emotions. Like, oh, I remember hearing this when I was, what have you. We'll get those here pretty soon. That'll
Yeah.
come up, and they'll be "What's My Age Again," and some ludicrous song, and
I can't wait.
and
I can't wait, dude.
so there'll be stuff like that pretty
Oh
soon
yeah, yeah.
that's playing to us.
I,
We're
I think that a moment occurred to me when so like I was probably like 27, 28 or something like that, and I started going when I was going to like bars, right? Um and like there would be live bands playing, and like every song that they're playing. Like you know what I mean? Like they're like rock songs from like, and you're like, "Oh wow, what happened here?" You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
because like when I turned 21, it was like, okay, there was a lot of stuff that was like, maybe the occasional Tom Petty tune or whatever would sneak in, and then it like was like suddenly like it was like, this is a song from the 90s, like this, you know what I mean? Like what? And that was the moment where I was just like, this is not, this is yeah.
Well, I remember the first time I heard, I heard Nirvana on classic rock radio. It was like Foghat, Nirvana, Uriah Heep. I was like, what happened? It's time, man.
Yeah.
Time.
Well, from listening it to the DVs, that Memorial Day countdown, how Nirvana
Mhm.
is on that list. Like
Yeah.
it's just strange to kind of hear where they're like, yeah, this is the classic rock radio station and we're playing that. But the stuff, at this point is 25, 26 years old now, 30 years old,
Well,
right?
to
Yeah.
be 30, yeah, I think they're celebrating. Yeah, it's that. Never mind, it's 30 years old now. Speaking of expansive box sets, there's a huge expansive box set coming out for that. I kid you not.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, that's time marches on.
Chat. Let's throw us out to chat. What do you guys? What's everybody listening to these days? I know John's listening to Fish.
John is the Fish guy. If I tell you, this most recent Fish tour, is the stuff I've heard has just been absolutely amazing. Their set list, their
Yeah.
performances, it's been really, really great. I've really enjoyed this tour and this specific leg of this tour. I've been listening to that stuff a lot.
Craig said, "Did you cut your hair, Mark?" Yes. Uh,
Almost cut my hair.
it was getting kind of long, and you might have
Kind
said it
of
was in my way. But I didn't,
long.
and I wonder why. It's like looking in my mirror and seeing a police
The
car.
police car.
Oh,
That's
David.
good stuff.
Oh, David. I saw David at the Palace Theater.
Really?
Yeah.
What does his set list consist of? Like CSNY and like.
So he was doing a lot of stuff. Oh, Chris. Chris is on. Hey, Chris. He asked, "Did you cut your hair, Craig?" Um, he played. So at the time, he was playing a lot of stuff with his band that was called CPR, which was like him, and then like, so he has like a, I don't know what the story is. I'm gonna sound like an idiot talking about this, but like, he has a son that he had to someone, right, in the 60s or 70s, and they were like, yeah, this is your son. And then he was like, he played keyboard, and Crosby was like, yeah,
Hey
come.
man, do you play keyboard? Yeah. Oh, cool.
Do you like the Birds too?
So like, yeah, but think about it. He's got a lot of stuff he can pull from.
Yeah,
You know.
he did. I mean, and he played a lot of, he played like Ohio and stuff like that. So the first set was like, it was definitely like I was getting a little, little antsy in my pantsy there at the first set, where it's just like, what are you playing, man? Like, I don't know any of this stuff, and that sucks. That sucks when you go to a show and they're like trying to like, I don't mean to sound like an old fart here, but like when they're
We're
playing the
playing our
new
new album
stuff,
its
and
entirety.
if you haven't heard the album, yeah, like you're just kind of like, oh
Yeah.
man, here's another song, right? It's hard to kind of like get into it. And then he came back out and was like, he played Triad. He played, yeah, he
Oh
did the
wow.
whole, yeah, he did the whole David Crosby, um, all that good stuff. So it was decent. It was a pretty expensive concert, probably like one of the most expensive concerts I had been to at the time. So, have either of you seen the David Crosby doc? I'm not sure, but I think isn't he
Mm-mm.
re-releasing If I Could Only Remember My Name? I feel like that was coming out with either some of the stuff that,
Bunch of bonus stuff on it.
yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff with Jerry and Phil and all those
That's
guys.
a
So
great
that's.
bootleg. There's a great
Oh
bootleg
yeah.
out there that
Oh
has
yeah.
him, they're working through the tracks, and there's even the one that's called like Dope Rap or something like that, where he's like, there's like someone playing piano in the background, and he's like, they're going to buy weed. And good thing I marked this as not for kids. Um, and like he's
We're
like,
talking about agriculture,
you
not
can take
not
my
not not
car.
narcotics.
He's like, you can take my car, right? So I don't know. It's ridiculous to hear that, but almost cut my hair. Yes, I did cut my hair, Craig. Craig said Sparks 311. 311. There's another band that was in that list of bands. He's getting prepped for the Get Back doc. I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
gonna see it. I mean, I think it's like you just kind of
that
have to see it.
that Sparks is on my net. It's on my Netflix queue. I think it became available on Netflix just a short while ago. But yeah, I love Sparks. That's another band that we haven't talked about a lot. And yeah, I love Sparks. That band is so creative and so unlike anything I've heard. They're great, man. Are you a Sparks fan at all? I know
I have a
Weird Paul
handful.
kind of.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah,
handful of their records.
yeah, Weird Paul turned me on to them.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, he was going on and talking about how great they were, and I was like, I got to check these guys out, and fell head over here for that band.
Yeah, they're one that like you definitely don't see their records come up that much.
No,
So, Craig says he watched the Sparks documentary 3 times in the past last week. So good.
oh wow,
Man, I wish I had the time that you have on your hands. That
yeah, I'll see if I can sneak it in this weekend. But yeah, I'm definitely antsy to see it.
yeah, something that definitely want to watch for sure.
And
So
I know Phil Lynette's got a new documentary out too. I saw that on Amazon Prime. I saw that it's there for rent, so that would be pretty neat to see too. I've heard good things about that. So
cool. Yeah, I think in new releases that are coming out, I have Friday. There's a new Grapefruit comp coming out. I know that I just talk about all
ooh,
those all the time. It's called Box of Pinups, and it's all like basically pop 60s pop tunes from 1965. I want to say, I think it is. Um, and he says his job has some downtime. Yeah, don't let your boss find out about that. Um, um, so that one's coming out, and then like the following week, so that's like the first week of December, or I think so. Yeah, is that first week of December coming up here? Yes. Is going to be there's one that's all sort of Manchester British rock, so like the Move and the Idle Race, and you know all those bands that kind of came out of that scene. There's Black Sabbath as well too. They're on the comp as well. So I'm
what Black
excited.
Sabbath tune is on the comp?
I think it's the one off of it's Acrobat. It's off of
Wow,
yeah,
National Acrobat
National
for Sabbath
Acrobat.
Bloody Sabbath.
I think that's the last song.
Dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun,
we talked
dun,
about that song. Is
dun,
amazing.
dun, dun, dun. Love it. It was one of my favorite Sabbath
in
tunes.
comparison.
I think Into the Void, National Acrobat, and Wheels of Confusion. Nobody asked, but there's my top 3 Sabbath.
You're missing some good ones on there, but that's okay. Well, we beg to differ. I'm telling you, Supernaut's my favorite one. That's one of my favorites.
That's not a bad song.
So, yeah, so I'm kind of excited for that. I don't think there's any other kind of releases as we're going into the
well, Jerry Garcia Band, they've got a new one that came out.
Yeah, that came out Friday?
This week, 76. Yeah, 76.
What do you think of that one?
It's not bad. It's nothing mind blowing, but I just kind of feel like some of those, they're just kind of like, they're good, but they're not. They don't grab me like the stuff with the Dead. I don't think there's too much experimentation there or whatnot, which is kind of what I'm into. So, but I mean, they're good. I mean, it's like, Russian lullabies on it, the tore up overuse on it. I mean, it's kind of. I hate to say this, and I say this with utmost respect. I mean, it's kind of like some of the other stuff I've heard from that period, from that band. It's like, it's good, but it's nothing like, oh my gosh, you got to throw down money and hear this.
Yeah, but I think that's a fair statement to make. I mean, you really have to kind of think about when do we get to the point where it's not essential anymore? You know what I mean? Like, you think about some of those earlier Dead releases, and even like, that first Keystone concert one was that from 1980? Is that one one's from? I want to say no.
I'd have to look.
It's which one I'm talking about, though. It's the one that has like the hand-drawn flyer on the front of it. The Berkeley show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that one. To me, that's. I don't want to say that's all you need, because I love his stuff with Merle Saunders, but that to me is that one's After Midnight. I think is what it's called.
Midnight. Yeah, that's.
I mean, to me, that's, if you're going to get one, that's the one to get. That's a great set.
And it's just sort of, you have. Is that am I thinking right? Where there's like.
That was a 1980s show, I think.
1980, yeah. I think Robert Hunter comes out and sings like Promontory Rider or something like that, right?
Right.
Which that's sort of like, okay, look at the
time. But realistically, what? Unless some of those Garcia live releases, like the stuff he did with Merle, I would get those, but a lot of them, like especially like the 90s stuff and some, you just don't need it. Like, I don't think that becomes essential. And I think with the Dead, I mean, there's certain areas and certain eras rather that I would say are essential, and maybe certain runs, but there's a lot of, like, is there any essential stuff for, like, say, like 93? Like, can you think of anything that is from that year that you would deem essential?
Well, I think that's where it becomes sort of that, if you went to those shows, then it becomes that sort of more sentimental than it actually, like, they weren't doing anything groundbreaking by any means.
But there's a difference between it being essential and it being nostalgic,
right?
Which kind of brings us back full circle,
right? Exactly.
So,
yeah, I don't know. I think that it's if people are going to be there to buy them, if they're going to sell them, and just like Dave's picks, it started out as like, I think 10,000 was all that they were making, and now it's up to like 24,000 or something like that. I mean, people were buying them, so why not?
Yeah.
So, but all right, man. Well, I think that I think we've hit a good stopping point here. We do have 5 people on, so thank you guys for stopping by. Any last thoughts?
Absolutely, thank you.
Drop them in. We'll take you out. Craig says a lot of my higher ups know we've got low volume, so it's actually okay. I do plenty to make sure that no one will question my position. Also helps my boss doesn't work at my office. Okay, Craig, you're living the good life, man.
I hear you.
It's good work if you can get it. Yeah. All right, guys. So we'll Craig, thanks for stopping by as always. John said thank guys. It was tons of fun. John,
thanks, John. Thanks, Craig.
We'll see you guys sometime next week. If you want to get a notification, I think that we did a pretty good job, Steve. That figuring out when we want to do these things.
Yeah, let's kind of hammer out a day. Like, say, I don't know, you want to make Wednesday?
I mean, it doesn't. To me, it really doesn't matter. I feel
Well,
like we get different people on different days, which is fine. Um,
yeah, but we probably should adhere to some kind of schedule for people who want to watch us regularly. Like Craig's always here, and we very much appreciate that. And
yeah,
John and
Craig.
all that. We should kind of have like maybe a schedule.
We'll get something together.
We'll
Yeah,
we'll let everybody know.
either make sure that you're just subscribed to this channel if you want to get a notification, or if you check out our Facebook page, it's Minglewood County Preservation Society and Pit Barbecue. If you want to get a notification that way. So, uh, yeah. So again, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for chatting. Thanks
Thank you,
for
thank you.
listening to us ramble about musical nonsense, and we will see you next time. So take care, everybody. See ya.